Blog Talk Radio.
All right, everybody. Joseph Gibson here, podcasting, understanding the times in which we live today. What's going on here? This is incredible. This cannot be happening now. It is happening now. How? I don't know. Let's go to my studio and see what's going on here. This is incredible. How they are shut it down. Unbelievable. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, there we go. It's back up. This is what they do. These are the things they do. This is the crap they pull. All right, here we go. We're back on here. Okay, back on. All right, here we go. The crisis down at the border, this just in a couple hours ago. Very important news, so let's get this going.
Mr. Macron. Mike Banks, who is the Texas border czar, General Seltzer, who is the Adjutant General for the National Guard here in the state of Texas. We will soon be joined by Colonel Steve McCraw, who is the Director of the Texas Department of Public Safety. We're here today because of the impending end of Title 42 policy. With the Biden administration ending Title 42 this Thursday, President Biden is laying down a welcome mat to people across the entire world, saying that the United States border is wide open and it will lead to an incredible amount of people coming across the border illegally. President Biden's open border policy is going to cause a catastrophic disaster in the United States. According to the Biden administration itself, they anticipate about 13,000 people coming across the border illegally every single day. If you extend that out over the course of a year, it means there will be about 4,700,000 people coming across the border a year. That will mean that there will be more people coming across the border illegally than there are residents of the massive city of Chicago. The bottom line is, it did not have to be this way. So never forget this. Just 3 years ago, we had the lowest border crossings in decades. And those low number of border crossings were a result of the policies put in place by the Trump administration. It was the Title 42 policy, the Remain in Mexico policy, the ending of catch and release, building a border wall, as well as sending a message across the entire world. America is not open to people who are trying to come here illegally. If you want to come to the United States of America, you must do so legally, not illegally. Today, however, we're dealing with the highest number of people coming across the border than ever before, and we will set a new all-time record this year. All of this is a result of policy decisions by Joe Biden. But know this, Texas is doing more
Okay. All right. There you go. That's just in from down there in Texas. That was just about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago from Texas. And apparently it's out of control today in El Paso. Food trucks. It's not being reported by the corporate media, but alternative media is reporting it. We'll play a little bit of this, and then if anybody wants to call in or has a comment about this, this is what's going to happen. And this is what inside sources have reported. This is what's going to happen is Biden is going to secure the border at the last minute, but there's going to be the ban on semi-automatic weapons. That's from what I heard, and even alternative media somehow are outsourcing that now. And if you remember a couple of weeks ago, I told everybody that that's what was going to happen, that the border was going to be the main focal point of the New World Order to collapse America, and that's what's happening, and it's going to happen this year. I remember back in 2020, I gave you the 7 points of the New World Order and the progression of how they were going to pull off their New World Order. I got documents from people in the military, and I read some of those documents, and they're on. Some of them are actually on Telegram now, but I read these about 3 years ago, and I told you what was going to be happening in the next 5 years. Obviously, it's been 3 years, so it's happening now. So this is happening. This is very serious. People don't understand. This is very serious. I'm going to play a little bit of this right now, and I'm going to tell you how serious it is, and whether or not you believe this alternative media or not, but this is true. He's pretty much spot on this.
The deal and are working with the Biden administration to launch terror attacks inside the United States using operatives where they'll kidnap their mother or their son or their daughter and say, if you don't run people over, if you don't go shoot people, we're going to kill your sister, your daughter, your mother, your father. Ladies and gentlemen, we're live. This is an incredibly important transmission. Sunday, May 7th, 2023. Believe me, you need to tell everybody you know. Tune in now.
InfoWars, the most banned network in the world.
All right, I told you 2 weeks ago on air that I met with high-level federal officials concerning the total collapse of the border 2 weeks ago, and that we're going to be breaking major news here on air. Now, I'm going to do the best job I can here today to lay this out. We have a special guest joining us as well. We're looking at footage right now of the man who was arrested reportedly in Brownsville, Texas, for running over dozens of people, killing at least 7 of them. And viewer discretion is advised. I'm showing you this because you need to know how serious the situation is. People mowed over, illegal aliens at a migrant center by Hispanic male, according to local reports. That's in the local news in Brownsville. The state police have said that. They are not showing this on the national news. We're also going to show you footage right now if you're a TV viewer, and the footage has all been posted at Infowars.com of the shooting yesterday in a suburb of North Dallas, where, including a 5-year-old little girl with her head blown off. We do not enjoy showing this, but you need to know how real this terrorism is. So, here's what happened. One of my journalist sources, who's proven to be extremely accurate, started calling me desperately yesterday morning before the attack in Dallas. And he said, I'm authorized to tell you off record and name names, the name of the intelligence officer who gave him this information. But he said, do not go to shopping malls or grocery stores, that the 2 largest drug cartels who have not worked together in more than 20 years have made a deal and are working with the Biden administration to launch terror attacks inside the United States using operatives where they'll kidnap their mother or their son or their daughter and say, if you don't run people over, if you don't go shoot people, we're going to kill your sister, your daughter, your mother, your father. Hours later, what the source told us was imminent happened. The source started calling our other source Friday night. He didn't talk to him until 10:30 in the morning. He checked his phone record. This happened, 1:32 p.m. in the afternoon. So that's powerful. And it fits into the whole picture. Biden said there's no crisis at the border for 2.5 years. He said surge the border, out of control crime, out of control murder. Now, as the border completely collapses and up to 80,000 people are set to come across on Thursday when Title 42 expires in El Paso alone, suddenly they say, oh my gosh, it's a giant crisis. And here's how it's going to work, according to sources, and I agree with their analysis. They activate the cartels that do this stuff every few minutes in Mexico, every few hours. They rule by terror. They start shooting people, bombing people, running people over through their operatives. And then Biden comes and says, oh, my gosh, we've got to take the Second Amendment, and I will secure the border, and I'll bring in a new title. This is footage this morning in Brownsville of a food truck being ransacked and robbed as they try to hand out food. And I know people on Twitter said, oh, that's not El Paso. Look in the lower right-hand corner. El Paso, fighting hunger. No, that happened. I checked the local news. It is complete bedlam. Our crew will be down there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I will be deploying down there very, very soon as well. But Owen Schroyer and our people are going. Pray for us. But the entire stretch of the border, 300-plus miles of it, is a war zone right now. Even areas in the middle of the desert have people coming across it. Promised they could come into the U.S. by Biden. The drug cartels on the surface are angry because if Title 42 gets lifted, they won't have people being deported all the time so they can make money 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times off of them, paying $10,000, $5,000, $20,000 to come across. But it's being allowed to happen by the Biden administration, wink, wink, the cartels the CIA works with, because this will be the terror they need as the pretext to take the American people's guns. And Biden put out a press release saying it's time to confiscate all semi-autos 1 hour ago.
Okay, so there you have it right there. That's pretty much the fix of it, and that's true. So gun confiscation, that's from what I heard. I spoke to a friend of mine. That they have rumors that many of the state police and task force, wasn't a federal friend, this was somebody that was working in law enforcement, said they have rumors that they're going to be receiving a memo that, because they already have the list of people who have registered semi-autos, and they're going to do something more of a Connecticut type of style thing where they're going to tell these people, they're going to send them all notices or emails and alerts that you have such and such amount of time to register and pay a fee, a registration fee, and register how much ammo you have, or they'll be knocking at your door. So that will be utter terrible thing that would happen if that was to happen across the country. I don't know. That's my opinion. But then again, are the American people that dumbed down that they can be appeased by something? Because when you see a 5-year-old girl's head blown off, and you see everyone knows somebody who's been a victim, or they have friends. I have a friend that lives down at the border in Arizona. I spoke to him, and people are just running by the house, running down the street, all hours of the night. It's out of control, literally. It is. But the churches and the pastors, I'm praying. They're going to pray, those are the guilty ones in this country that are selling the Kool-Aid to a lot of people. Where is the fire in the pews across America and the churches? We have got to light the churches up. They've got to. If you have someone who's a pastor friend of yours, or someone who preaches, or someone who's in church who believes in God, or who's out there with the Bible in their hand, you've got to put a fire underneath them and say, look, you need to tell your Christian friends this is enough. If they're not preaching something about the New World Order in your church, then you need to leave that church. If you're a 501c3 church, leave it. We've got to get the grassroots out there motivated and understand that they're not going to allow another election a chance. They're not going to allow. Listen, Donald Trump was a de facto leader, yes, but listen to the message, to how many people clung to the message, because we're yearning for freedom and a spirit of resistance. Because nobody wants war. If you want war, then you're a sick bastard. Listen to my last night's podcast where I had Vietnam veterans on here, testimony of what it was like. Hell. War is hell. We'll turn into animals. America will be just finished. Totally. I just really hope that people out there just really, really wake up. Phone calls, anybody? If anybody wants to chip in here tonight, press the number 1. If you want to chip in here tonight, press the number 1 on your keypad. The New World Order The takeover is here. The border is under collapse. It's happening right now. I just played you clips of the governor in Texas. This is really happening. So they're going to do the gun confiscation. I just don't know. I seen a couple callers there on my call board there that I was. I know Mike from Florida. You were on there, Mike. I guess you had to drop off. I'm going to take your call there. Well, I sent him a message there, see where he went. Where'd you go? Was way taking calls now. Taking calls. It's important now that the opinions out there of the people are important. And this, usually we've been talking about this stuff for the last 6 months, and now's the time. Are you ready for the new world order? Are you ready for the collapse of America? Are you? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. What will America look like? We see the inflation out of control. I mean, if you got a $100 bill in your pocket and you go out shopping at the store, it's just insane. And I've been talking about this stuff for years, and people don't think it's going to happen in their lifetime, but it is. It is. We're going to see the collapse of America, whether you believe me or not. It's happening. I mean, the SUV that ran over those Mexicans, 7 dead yesterday, ran them over, the body parts all over the road. I mean, just to look at their legs ripped off and the heads torn off, and then the shooting in Texas yesterday with the 5-year-old girl head blown off. Stay away from populated areas. They're targets. Stay away. And again, you're not going to have the chance to protect yourself with how they're going to clamp things down. They can't protect you. The system is so corrupt and broken. I mean, I just don't. I'm just beside myself that the lack of transparency or the lack of urgency of the people and what's happening out there, that the alertness. Let me play a little more of this here, and maybe some of you may want to wake up here a little bit.
We can save the republic together, but we've got to face the facts. America is now under leftist-coordinated terror attack. Just like the attack in Tennessee was a leftist, they're still suppressing that information. Stay with us. Piles of dead bodies, including children, in North Dallas. A car ramming through more than 25 people, killing at least 7 in Brownsville, Texas, on the border. We're showing TV viewers, radio listeners are spared this. The full video, if you want to see it, it's on Infowars.com. But we're showing this to our TV viewers and TV stations because you need to see what real terrorism looks like. All right, the border has completely collapsed. Millions of people are on their way. Hundreds of thousands of different cities are stacked up, ready to come in when Title 42 goes through. Because these are people that don't have the money to pay the cartels the minimum $7,000 to come across. If you're from China, it's $50. Africa, $20. The cartels are making tens of millions of dollars a month off of this. We watched the congressional hearings. And Biden, by saying surge the border immediately if I get elected, has made it many times worse than it was even under Obama. Trump basically shut it down 98%. The Border Patrol did an excellent job, and they had good leadership. The Border Patrol, more than 10,000 feds have been whistleblowers. I myself have been in private, secret meetings with high-level federal officials. Not just FBI agents, not just federal marshals, not just Navy SEALs, but we're talking Zoom meetings with top people 2 weeks ago saying this is all coming. One of my other big sources started calling me at 10:30 on Saturday. His sources started calling him. So he talked to his source and said they're going to start launching terror attacks, first in Texas and all over the country, targeting migrant centers, illegal aliens, because the cartels want them to know if you come across without paying us money, we're going to kill you. And I asked the sources, well, doesn't Biden know? They already work with the cartels. Nancy Pelosi said the MS-13's God's children. They said absolutely. They're going to use this hysteria and this new war with the cartels as the pretext to take the Second Amendment. About an hour and 10 minutes ago, Biden called for repealing the Second Amendment and taking all semi-autos. So this is what came in before the shooting yesterday, and then I talked to the source who's joining us in about the sources in about 20 minutes. I just heard something sick from my best source. Almost made me throw up. The insider said the cartel sit-down says, that happened 2 weeks ago, he thinks this operation may come from way on top. Two top rival cartels never sit down to coordinate. He thinks the entire scheme is to give Biden what he needs to justify not lifting Title 42 and make him look like a hero. But the criminal regime, Obama Holder, is behind it. U.S. political regime stands to lose billions as well, as a majority of them are on the payroll. Confirmed. That came in at 10:30 our status today. Unprecedented meeting between Gulf and Sinaloa cartel. My source gave me permission to let you know who they are. I'm not going to say the name. Who was a multi-decade contractor for the Intel Services, some of the best contacts in the world. And this is a great source gave me this. But I was already getting this information. It came in before this happened. The high-level source contacted Pete Santilli, that's joining us about an hour, Friday night, and said, please call me. Santilli didn't call him till 10 in the morning, called me right after. And I'm like, okay, they're going to attack, they're going to have terror. And then a couple hours later, it happens. And then a truck attack in Brownsville running over 20, say maybe 30 people, they're not sure, at least 7 dead. We're going to show you the footage, people's legs, arms chopped off, blood spraying everywhere. We do not enjoy showing this, but you need to know how serious this situation is. Viewer discretion is advised, ladies and gentlemen. And people are mad about this. Walter Cronkite in the late 60s showed little girls with their skin burned off with napalm. People need to see the reality. It's not the gun. It's not the SUV. It's the evil people doing this. And you ask, how do they have, and show the footage of the Hispanic male, looks like a military contractor, being arrested and the police saying he's the one that did it. We'll show that footage in a moment. Well, guess who the reported killer in North Dallas is? Mauricio Martinez Garcia. High-level security contractor with multiple certificates for armed security, dresses up in a paramilitary all-black outfit, and goes to a mainly Hispanic mall and sprays a bunch of Hispanics congregating outside the doors of the mall. Anybody that goes to a major mall knows Hispanics are like old-fashioned people like white people did 50 years ago. They hang around and talk outside of markets, outside of malls. So mainly, that's what the footage shows. A bunch of Hispanics are hanging around outside a mall in North Dallas, including little kids. This guy, overhead shot please, Mauricio Martinez Garcia, no criminal record, high-level security officer training, pulls up and kills them, shooting them in the heads. A police officer nearby and stopped him where it could have been hundreds of dead. The answer is the police officer with a gun. The answer is the concealed carry holder with a gun. The answer, what are you going to do? He used a gun. This other guy just used a truck. Why are Hispanics attacking Hispanics? The media is suppressing all this because, according to the intel, the cartels have probably kidnapped their mothers, their wives, their children, and Zoom them or FaceTime them and say, here's your 5-year-old daughter, here's your wife, here's your mother. I'm going to blow their head off. And by the way, let me just cut their finger off right in front of you right now. Or they'll have a couple of the daughters and the mom there. They'll go ahead and just slit the mom's throat and say, if you don't kill people right now, we're going to kill your daughters. That's how they do it. Now, for the average person that doesn't study super dirty black ops and dirty war, they'll just hear the media, there's suddenly bombs. I predict car bombs and mass shootings and car attacks and truck attacks. And they'll think, what the hell's going on? We got to give our guns up. The last thing we're going to do is be like Mexico that has no Second Amendment, so they're a failed state. We're not giving into this terror. And like Governor Greg Abbott said, the answer is more guns, not less. And a good man with a gun stopped this guy. But let me tell you, Ed Santilli calling me up yesterday. I was trying to spend time with my youngest daughter, and my mother-in-law's in town, and we were out swimming at a local community pool, and the phone's over and over again. I'm like, what is going on? start attacking people as being mass murder. We got to tell everybody. He's been on the inside of this for a long time. And I was like, okay, well, all right, we'll talk to you and tell them next week. I'm going to the border. We'll do it. And then hours later, this happens, and I'm thinking, wow, that's really chilling. Maybe that's what's happening. And then there's a car attack. I mean, folks, this goes on in Mexico all the time. The cartels will order, say, take Cancun is controlled by the government and the military, one of the few zones that's somewhat safe. And they don't pay enough protection money. You'll see dozens of robberies, murders a day, bombing, shootings for the cartels. That's what they do. And here in America, if you've got millions of people coming across a year paying on average $10,000, $15,000, the lowest is $7,000 according to congressional testimony, and I agree with that analysis. It's been looked into. I've talked to my sources. What's millions times 7,000 or 10,000? It's billions. And so all hell is breaking loose, ladies and gentlemen. And again, the backdrop of that is an uneducated public, an uninformed, half asleep, no major memory public will just think, well, my gosh, there's mass shootings and car attacks and all this. We've got to take the guns, and that's the goal here. We're in a major war. The dollar's dying. There's absolute tyranny unfolding. The government's declared any opposition to what it's doing is terrorism. And meanwhile, Biden said immediately surge the border if I get elected. And then now 2.5 years later, he's like, oh, the crisis got so bad. Oh, I'm going to fix it. And his press secretary says, it's all Trump's fault. When Trump stopped this, the Border Patrol did a great job, really hard job stopping this. They cut it back 98%. It was basically shut down. And now it's completely out of control. And again, the cartels are like, you're going to end Title 42 where people actually don't get deported because he's going to legalize everybody. And people heard that and came and said, we're not paying the cartels. We can all just come across. The cartels are like, oh, really? We're going to bomb you. We're going to shoot you. We're going to run over you with cars. But the sickness of this is, the word is from the highest levels, it was green lit. Because Biden's going to bring back Title 42 but selectively enforce it later. But right now he's letting the chaos break out. Let everybody know, tune in now, however you're listening. This cannot be more critical. We can stop this together or it's the end of the republic.
That's right, folks. It's the end of the republic. We got to stop this now. Get involved, talk to your friends, talk to people, listen to shows like this, and be alert. And protect yourself. You can have an awakening. Back in 2008, when Obama was ushering in, trying to take over, people were out there awake. I was out there. New World Order, new Ron Paul, New World Order, telling everybody I could. People thought I was crazy. But you know what? We stopped it. We slowed it down. Everybody was awake. We knew, and the Fed signing up for the Republic. People signing on the dotted line. Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go. In the meetings, watching the slides. This is corruption. This is what happened. Your money's fake. Boom. People waking up. Now, again, falling asleep. The cycle starts all over again. And we got these weirdos out there walking around. These weirdos. These liberals. It's crazy. The border is out of control. It's an emergency broadcast. If you missed it, if you're just tuning in, Governor of Texas a couple hours ago announced troops. They've got Black Hawks down there now. They're going to be 10,000 troops down at the border. This could create conflict with the federal government. There's a lot of stuff going on right now on the border. A lot of things going on. In Brownsville, Texas, food trucks being raided. They're overrun. 80,000 people set on Thursday storming across the border. 80,000. Okay. This is the time, and they're already being placed all around the country. Also, I worked in Asheville, North Carolina, the Advanced Auto as security guard last week. I never saw so many damn Mexicans in my life. Where the hell they all come from? I thought I was out in the country here. All Mexicans. They're coming in, all Mexicans. Advance knows they got Mexican employees who speak Spanish to them when they come in. I couldn't understand what the hell they were talking about. Yeah, all Mexicans. One after another. They smile. They look at me. Yeah. They like to cut my throat. One made a snotty remark or whatever. They got the snitch here today, huh? Yeah, snitch. Yeah. No, I'm here, pal, to bust a cap off in your ass if you try looting the store, you jerk. Try me. We have to have law and order. We have to. Okay? We can't have chaos. But at the same time, we can't have government control either. We can't, it's a slippery slope. Freedom is a dangerous thing. And again, if you didn't listen to my podcast last night, I played a special on Vietnam. Vietnam vets, their stories. Listen to those stories about war. Listen to how powerful they were. I mean, amazing stories. For the first 45 minutes, played all stories, Vietnam stories. So, war, it's hell. War is hell, man. I know I got Florida number down. I think I see my Florida friend. Press 1 if you want to comment there, Florida. I think I've finally seen you. It's been a while since you called in there. Press 1 if you want to contribute. I got a private caller here. Let me put him on. All right, you're a private caller. Go ahead.
Boy, Joe, you're not, you're understating the case, man. I mean, it's worse than even what you're saying. I mean, from an official policy standpoint, Joe Biden vows to veto the Republican border security bill because listen to what he says. He says it's too tough on illegal immigrants. So in other words, our immigration policy is not supposed to be geared first and foremost to what is in the best interest of the United States and its people. Now it should be geared to what is best for illegal aliens. This is worse than even what you're saying. That he's literally expressing this out loud.
Well, I mean,
I can see if he was talking about it's a matter of budgeting or logistics or being able to implement it. Okay, even though I know that it'd probably still be a bunch of BS, at least that's something you can understand as a matter of prudence or practicality. He is literally saying that our policy should be geared toward what is best for illegal aliens rather than what's good for the United States.
Well, inside word, Sarge, is from what I just played. Also, a clip of the inside word is that what he's going to do is he's going to go ahead and selectively enforce Title 42, but they're going to ban the guns. They're going to come for gun confiscation, and they're going to do a Connecticut type of thing where you're going to register them in a certain amount of days, or they're going to come get them, and this way you know what you got. That's what they're going to do. I mean, that's from what I heard. I don't have the full story of it yet. There's rumors going around saying that they're waiting for memos from this and that, and the attorney generals of the states and blah about. But it is on the table to ban semi-auto.
I'm going to wait to see that because the logistics of doing that would be so immense that it's almost not even worth considering as a practical matter. I mean, I'm not saying they're not willing to do it. I believe that they are. I believe they thought they could get away with it. They do it tomorrow, immediately.
Yeah.
But the point of it is, as a logistical matter, 400 million guns in private hands, and you know there's at least 2 to 3 to 5 million people who will not give them up no matter what. They will fight literally to the death. So as a practical matter, I'm not worried about it happening until at least they announce it, because they don't have enough federal agents, even with 87,000 new IRS agents, to start large-scale confiscation of firearms. The alarm bells will be going off like we wouldn't need Paul Revere.
Well, how many liberal states are out there? Look at this. Washington State. They're doing it like you always talked about, slowly isolating everybody, state by state, town by town. And then callers, if you want to contribute here, press the number 1 on your phone, because if not, I can't see. I see a couple people here, I think, who are trying to get on, and you got to press 1, otherwise I can't get you on the podcast, because I just don't connect people. You have to press 1 so I can put your hand up. But I know I had another private caller that was up.
As a logistical matter, it's all but impossible. I mean, look how many people turned in bump stocks? Almost nobody. You know, how many people turned in pistol braces? Almost nobody.
But look at the
people
state of
are not
Connecticut.
going to comply with this. So who's going to come and get all these guns?
But look at the state of Connecticut.
I got news for you. I guarantee you, sheriffs throughout the country were saying when he's gun ban in Illinois, leftist blue state Illinois, you had lots of sheriffs saying they weren't going to enforce purchase assault weapons ban, which a federal judge said was unconstitutional.
Yeah,
and this is
I
before
know.
the judge said it was unconstitutional. They said, we're not going to comply with it. And then Prison was threatening the sheriff. They said, you threaten us all you want. We're not going to comply with it. We're not going to
Somebody
enforce
reminded me of Hurricane Katrina. Well, how did they get away with it during Hurricane Katrina when they confiscated everybody's guns?
Okay, that's what they
How
did.
did
The
they
New
wait?
Orleans Police Department, during Hurricane Katrina, the chief, his name is Eddie Compass. Eddie Compass ordered his officers to go to house where they had knowledge of who had guns, either by prior registration or some means, and they literally told people they had to turn over their firearms to the New Orleans Police Department. People who showed no indication to be involved in the crime, people who had no complaints against them whatsoever, but just precautionary confiscation to ensure they wouldn't do anything untoward with the guns. That's why the Republicans, after Katrina, passed a law, a federal law, that forbids any law enforcement agency to do preemptive confiscation of firearms during emergencies. It is against federal law now. Well,
this is a press release from the White House
in Louisiana.
Well, apparently, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the executive order directs the president's cabinet to increase the number of background checks by ensuring that all background checks required by law are conducted before firearm purchases, moving the U.S. as close to universal background checks as possible without additional legislation. Large majority of Americans support background checks, blah, blah, blah. They go into that. Now, improve public awareness, address the loss of theft of firearms, holding the gun industry accountable. Okay, this was the old one. There's a new one put out. I had it up here, and I missed it, but there's a new one out, actually. There's about the ban. Let's see here. DOJ releases Biden gun confiscation order legislation. Could that be it? Okay, this could be it right here by the right here where it says 42 U.S. Code 5207 firearms policies. It says temporary or permanently seized or authorized seizure of any firearm, the possession of which is not prohibited under federal, state, or local law, other than for forfeiture in compliance with federal law or as evidence in a criminal investigation. Required registration of any firearm for which registration is not required by federal, state, or local law. Prohibit the possession of any firearm or promulgate any rule, regulation, or order prohibiting possession of any firearm in any place or any person where such possession is not otherwise prohibited by federal, state law. Prohibit the carrying of firearms by any person otherwise authorized to carry firearms under federal, state, or local law, solely because such person is operating under the direction, control, of supervision of a federal agency in support of relief from the major disaster or emergency. Limitation. Nothing in this section shall be construed to prohibit any person in subsection A from requiring a temporary surrender of a firearm as a condition for entry into any mode of transportation used for rescue or evacuation during a major disaster or emergency. So what's this? What is this about? This it's right here, 42 U.S. Code 5207. What is this about? I mean, what's going on here? I mean, is this already on the books? Is this what they're planning on implementing? What's going on? I mean, this is the first I'm seeing it. You know, this is from Cornell Law School.
If there is this Biden administration, any conceivable confiscation of firearms that they think they can get away, they are willing to do. I already know that. I mean, I accept that as a given. Every day they're in office. So I already accept the fact that's what they're willing. The question is, though, can they actually do it? And this doesn't sound to me like it can. What it does sound like is it has to do with what happens with your firearm when you enter into a federal craft that is rescuing you.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it sounds like to me. And I suppose there's some authority they can have. Maybe you have to surrender it temporarily while you're being transported to safety. Although it seems to me as they'd have to return it to you once you get to where you're going.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
So they've accepted that the federal government has authority over firearms when you're on federal property or in federal vehicles and stuff like that. That's always been kind of accepted for decades now. So
well, where Democrats reign, in states where Democrats reign, it says be prepared right here. It says Illinois lawmakers wasted no time in a new legislative session, taking just 5 days to pass major gun safety measures that include a ban on semi-automatic rifles, high-capacity magazines, and gun attachments that stimulate automatic fire.
Found that to be unconstitutional. I guess they'll just keep going until there's no penalties for them to keep introducing this legislation. They knowingly introduce unconstitutional laws, hoping one day one of them will just stick. When one gets struck down,
they
just come up with another.
Listen, we say
when that one gets struck down, they come up with another, and they're going to keep coming up with them until there's some kind of consequences for them doing it.
Yeah, but how many times has this got? I mean, how many people are in compliance? I mean,
there is no limit to these people. They are fanatics. They are determined.
Where
to
do you draw the line?
They don't have a limit. No, they don't have a limit.
But I'm just saying, where does the individual draw the line? I mean, we're on such.
They don't draw a line with regard to this. They understand that armed citizenry is the bulwark against the kind of tyranny they wish to implement on us. So why should they give up if that's what their objective is? They want to impose tyranny on us. They know one of the biggest impediments to it is an armed citizenry. So they're never going to stop as long as they think they have the opportunity to impose tyranny on us. They're never going to stop. Never. They're not going to stop till we get rid of them.
Look, why do you need a military-style weapon, a liberal will say?
Because the militia is about a body of citizens organized for military purposes. That's why. That's all you need to know. It's not about hunting or target shooting.
I know. One day ago, Joe Biden makes fresh call for ban on assault weapons as Texas gunman named. And this is what they're doing. This is what's happening. This is why these shootings are doing. Why are Hispanics killing Hispanics? This is what's going on. The cartels are grabbing their mothers, their sisters, saying, you go out and you shoot people or we're going to slit your throat to your mother. That's what's going on down there in Mexico because these cartels are sick. And that's what's happening. I mean, why else? Why else would we seeing this jump?
Again, as to why anybody does anything evil, you can put it together through a combination of cultural, societal, legal, and dysfunctional factors. I suppose there's any number of them. But whatever they are, whatever the reasons for it, it has nothing to do with law-abiding citizens owning firearms. Nothing.
Listen to this, Sarge. Listen to this. The guy in Texas, this is the corporate news media. He had links to neo-Nazis. He's a Mexican who didn't even speak English.
I read isn't it amazing how quickly we get to see this guy's manifesto and his writings? And I'm still waiting for the Trinifesto to be released.
Yeah, I mean, come on,
Isn't it amazing how quickly we are looking at this man's writings and his thoughts?
Yeah.
But the Trinifesto still being concealed from us.
Well, they definitely want the white people. They want.
Move on there. What are you, a legend of conspiracy or something?
They want these white people. They want to take the white man is the most dangerous thing to America today.
Man, that is today. You see this thing with Neely Jordan, this kid that got choked out in New York. Man, they're trying to make him the new St. George of fentanyl. I swear to God, man. It is so obvious what these Bolsheviks.
What happened? I didn't catch that one. Why? What's the deal with that one?
Have you seen the demonstrations up in New York about they're trying to make Jordan Neely the new George Floyd?
I don't know about it. I don't know what happened.
When the Marine put the chokehold on the dude when he was threatening.
Oh, okay.
And the narrative is another repeat of Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman. Only this guy, Petty, isn't a white Hispanic. He's just an apparently Anglo-Saxon white man.
I got another caller here.
Oh man, they are really pulling out all the stops to make this guy into a team.
Hang on, I got another caller. Hang on, I got another caller here. I had two actually, but one dropped. So let's bring on 570. Go ahead, 570. Go ahead, you're on. You put your hand up. Area code 570. You're unmuted. Go ahead. Well, maybe they don't want to talk. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Yeah. You can talk if you want. You're free to talk, uncensored, unscreened, if you want to. I'll leave it open if you want to. Your mic.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, I got a 570 area code, but I am from New York City.
Okay.
Okay. New York City has turned into a, how can I call it? All right, I'm also a retired New York City cop.
Okay.
All right, I've been retired now since 2005.
And I've got a retired Illinois State Trooper on the line right now talking.
Okay, and the city of New York, what it has become under Democrat totalitarianism, it's the only other thing I could call it. It has turned that city into a cesspool. All right.
Wow.
You have homeless. Listen, I'm a retired cop. I carry a gun everywhere I go in New York City. Whenever I'm in that city, I am armed. I'm minding my business. Just don't come bother me. That's how it is. All right.
And it's a shame we got to live like that in America, isn't it? It's a shame.
Well, this is well, a lot of people don't understand that the police have no duty to protect us. All right, that is a Supreme Court ruling from September of 2005. All right, I mean the police, law enforcement is here to protect the machine, and that's it. And the machine is government. All right. What has happened to the city under Bill de Blasio is, I worked under Mayor Giuliani and under Mayor Bloomberg, and when Mayor Giuliani came in, he cleaned up this city. I could not believe what it was like. And in less than 20 years, Bill de Blasio has ruined New York City.
Wow.
And I believe, honestly, that it is beyond repair.
There's no coming back from it, huh?
I do not know. With the amount of illegals now they're bringing in, they're talking about giving the illegals ID cards. What are you going to do with that ID card?
Vote.
You're going to vote.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
You're going to vote with that ID card because they don't want to see. All you're going to do is be able to register, and that's it.
80,000 on Thursday. 80,000 scheduled to storm the border. 80,000.
Huh?
What do we do as Americans? Obviously, you're an American that you're former NYPD. Obviously, you believed. You believed. You saw everything. Obviously, you've seen everything. You've been through hell. You know, on that type of job, on that beat. So, what can we do to fix? What can we do?
The basic. I don't know. You can't vote Democrat.
No. I'll tell you what the basics are, because they worked. They worked when Giuliani implemented them with the broken window strategy of policing. It worked in New York. It worked in Chicago. Perry versus Ohio. Stop and frisk, done constitutionally, works. Police officers work on intelligence. They get tips from snitches. They get tips from intelligence gathered from other police officers. They get roll call information. They get information based on their past experiences. They get information from all over the place. And they take that matrix of information they develop over a career, and they use it to form informed speculation about people they see on the street, many of whom they know to be criminals. And when the conditions for a legitimate Terry stop are made, those cops ought to be allowed to make those stops without impunity. With impunity.
Okay.
As long as they don't violate the Constitution, that's one of the most valuable tools any beat police officer has got.
Yep. Hang on, Sarge.
Yeah,
go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Since George Fentanyl, like you said, St. George Fentanyl, that has changed everything. That has killed everything.
Thank you. Yeah.
That has destroyed law enforcement. It has set it has set law enforcement back many, many years.
Think about it now. You know, there's been 22 people killed on the subway in the last 2 years. 22.
Yeah, and nobody cares
How
about
much
those.
have you heard in this kind of detail about any one of those people? Anyone?
They don't know nothing about those people killed.
No. They're not important.
No.
They're not important to the narrative. They mean nothing. Their lives mean nothing. Their deaths mean nothing. This guy, he's a horse vessel for these people, these Bolsheviks.
It's you know, I mean, Governor Hochul herself, you know, said that you don't want to, you know, you shouldn't have to die for just riding a subway. And I'm like, wow, that woman is, and I call her Kathy Hochul, not Hochul. I
think that woman is deranged. I really do. Every time I look at her zombified face, just spewing the nonsense she does, she looks somewhat deranged to me. She reminds me of the Green Goblin in that Spider-Man movie. Every time she opens that mouth with hardly any expression on her face, I think the woman is deranged. I truly do.
Sarge, let me ask you now. He was NYPD. You were out in Illinois as a state trooper for how many years? 20 years, you said?
23.
23 years.
And most of them I worked in Cook County in Chicago.
Okay, so is the style of policing the same, or is it different across the country? Is it one uniform?
Well, look, there's a lot of things are similar, but, you know, every jurisdiction's got its own unique aspects. Officer, I'm telling you, if you were a New York beat police officer, though, let me tell you something. You literally saw everything imaginable there is to see as a beat police officer can possibly see. I don't know any other jurisdiction that's got the range of insane things that you can see that New York City does. I was a firearms instructor, and I was in regular contact with the firearms training unit because they have had one of the best databases of police-involved shootings, and I used them to help me conduct my training because the New York Police Department has such an extensive record of shootouts and the dynamics of a police shootout. It was an invaluable aid for me to make my training curriculum. And I was in regular contact with these guys in the FDU. And I saw a lot of stuff, too, in Chicago and Cook County. And I talked to a lot of Chicago cops. And I experienced a lot of things. But the things these guys in the FDU would tell me when we were sending our correspondence back and forth was just beyond belief. New York is like nothing else in the United States.
It has its
city that never sleeps.
It doesn't.
Honest to God, but I tell you what, I had nothing but admiration on those guys at FDU. They were extremely professional. Their information on the dynamics and all the circumstances of police shootings were very well recorded, very well researched. A lot of information. I mean, it was invaluable. I thought there was. The training academy in New York is great.
Was this gentleman? Were you on the job during 9/11?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's interesting there.
Okay.
I was in Connecticut. I was in Connecticut.
It was funny because I worked on Staten Island when the whole thing happened, and I remembered they were getting the landfill ready to process the crime scene. I guess they would just they go through the debris. And I'm a retired detective, so I had the midnight shift on Staten Island, and when they decided they were going to use the landfill, we heard that the FBI was out there, and my partner and I we drove to the Staten Island landfill, and we were on the phone and we're like, "There's nobody here," and all of a sudden. Out of the weeds, you see these young kids coming out. These are recruits from the FBI Academy with flashlights. They were scared out of their mind. They didn't know what to do.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
And, I got sent to New York as part of the delegation from Illinois that, was sent there to express solidarity and condolences to New York. Well, what you guys, you lost like 200 officers that day? Is that right?
No, the fire department lost 343 guys. The NYPD lost, I think, 25.
25.
I thought
Wow.
it was more than that, but that's still a lot. But anyway.
Yeah.
No, they didn't lose. No, they didn't lose. I'm telling you, they lost. We lost. The NYPD lost about. We had Port Authority. They lost about 15 more people, but the NYPD lost about 20 guys.
Okay,
wow.
Well, that's still a lot.
The fire
when
department
we went
took
there,
up,
though, we got treated so well. I'm saying, wait a minute. We're supposed to be offering condolences to you people. You're not supposed to be treating us like this. No, but they treated us like diplomats or something. I mean, it was really a great experience. I'll never forget it.
Well, there's a lot. That was a period in history that a lot of people forgot.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. Too bad. It's too bad, too. Because there was a lot of gallantry that day, especially by the fire department, but the New York Police Department, too.
And the respect for the people in uniform across the country. I mean, it just was amazing.
Yeah, it was overwhelming.
Yeah,
it really was.
I remember going into work that night after everything was done. Everything calmed down on the night of the 12th. I went into work, and I remember they had a list of everyone, all the city workers that got killed, and I could not believe how long it was.
Wow.
I had no idea that it was that bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's really sad. And and the solidarity afterwards. I remember in Connecticut, they were running around, fill the boot. I remember everyone started their cash flowing on the ground. I mean, everybody was just giving. But you look at things today, the attitude towards wearing a uniform. I'm a security officer, third shift. I
it's changed almost 180 degrees now.
Yeah. The attitude people
have. It's amazing. Radically a change in a relatively short span of time. The police now have to prove that they're not doing wrong rather than the other way around.
Yeah, they even if there's a body camera on them now and it shows that they're doing the right job, it still impacts us negatively.
Yeah. It's so sad because there's a line, they call it the thin blue line, but that's the line right there that is so very important, that respect, that you don't cross that line. And today people cross that, they just don't have no respect for that line.
Yeah. But here's the thing, Joe. Here's the thing. If you doubt that, just look at what's going on in New York and all these Democrat cities today. That line has been crossed. See, police are not afraid to face the danger. Some guy's got a warrant. He don't want to go back to jail, and he's going to fight you or fight you to the death to keep him going back to jail, or some domestic violence where everything goes sideways in a heartbeat, or any of these other routine dangers that they're exposed to. Like a drunk driver ramming into you when you got another car pulled over for a traffic ticket. Okay, we accept that. We expect that. It comes with the job. What we didn't expect was to get thrown under the bus by our political masters who don't have the guts to stand up for officers who are doing the right thing in accordance with the law and their training and police regulations, and throw the cops under the bus rather than stand up on some kind of integrity. That's what turns us off. That's what makes us quit in droves. That's why they're quitting. And you see what the results are. The results are anarchy and chaos. And these same politicians are imposing upon the citizenry anarcho-tyranny. They create a state of anarchy, and then when you defend yourself against it, they impose their tyranny on you by prosecuting you.
Yeah.
That goes without saying. You're 100% spot on.
I tell you, I just don't know. I mean,
listen, we have a city councilwoman. Her last name is Caban, and they're handing out pamphlets. She has pamphlets being handed out in schools as to how police treat people. People of color who are more likely to be killed by a policeman than a white person is. And it's just mind-blowing what she's doing.
Wow.
It is lie.
Wow.
They just lie. They just tell
and
lies.
the numbers. Yeah,
I mean,
the numbers don't even show that.
they're literally contradicted by fact. They just say it. Nobody fact-checks them. Nobody calls them out on this. Not in any significant degree. And they do it over and over and over again. It is a deliberate. I mean, have you seen this these safety ambassadors they got out there in San Francisco? They got a new thing called safety ambassadors.
They do nothing. They do absolutely nothing, those safety ambassadors. You know that.
Of course not. And why should they?
Wow. Safety ambassadors. That's the first I heard of that one. Safety ambassadors.
Oh, no, there's a new deal going up around these Democrats, these safety ambassadors, and to supplement or replace the police in certain situations.
Terrible.
Yep.
It's terrible.
And they are as useless as tits on a bull.
Amen.
That's a Yankee saying right there.
The amount of money you're paying to equip and put them in place, you could have been spent on police training and more staffing, better equipment, and everything else. That amount of money could have gone much more productively to the police department. Now it's being severed away from the police budget to give to this nonsense.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong on that.
But real quick, while I got you, you said Staten Island. So Staten Island, obviously, I don't know how long you were a police officer for, but that was, you saw the dwindling down of the mafia, I guess you could say, in New York. Did it really have that type of stranglehold and stronghold and grip on the police department and the politicians or the contractors or the garbage business? Did it really have that like they depict it in Hollywood?
Not on politicians, but it did. They did control certain businesses.
Wow. So they like the garbage industry.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
They still do somewhat.
Wow. So now you have. It's a free-for-all. There's no pecking order. Because every society, no matter what, is going to have crime. You're going to have an element of crime out there. And I know you're a good guy and you're against crime and you're for the law, and I am too, enforcing the law. We're a country of laws. But there's a pecking order also. There's honor amongst thieves, I guess you could say there used to be. But today there's none. So without the mafia on the streets having that type of honor amongst thieves,
there is no more honor.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist.
Wow.
That's gone. Honor amongst thieves. It's I'm waiting for when things here really get crazy. Once a collapse does happen, everybody thinks that everything's going to be we're all going to be sensible and polite and wait in line. It ain't going to happen, man.
No, you're right. You're right.
Happen.
But how do you won't. It's going to be regional. It's not going to be universal because there's a lot of communities that are still stable. They're not run by Democrats exclusively, or if they are being run by Democrats, the kind of Democrats that are running them are not absolutely insane, like the Democrats that are in charge of the county where I live here in Georgia.
Well, those are the moderate Democrats.
Yeah. Yep. You're right.
They're not this new Democrat like AOC all out crazy is.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was waiting for you to bring her up, actually. She is a Fruit Loop.
She is nothing but a pariah. I mean, Curtis Sliwa is doing everything he can to get her out of office.
$30 million she's worth. $30 million now. Can you believe that? $30 million she's worth after being a bartender, getting elected.
Oh man, she's an elitist now. She's an elite.
Wow.
Yeah, she's an elitist communist. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
An elitist Marxist. That's what she is.
Well,
it's just amazing what these people are getting away with and what they're doing, and they're outright. It's this worse than hypocrisy, and hypocrisy doesn't begin to cover what they are. They want to pretend that they're still victims on this intersectionality chart they create, and they're actually among the most privileged people in society.
But
absolutely. That's how they operate.
the neighborhoods. I know the neighborhoods in the Northeast. I grew up in the Northeast in Connecticut, and I grew up in an Italian neighborhood, and and a couple Portuguese people were there, and in there and whatnot. But it was a tight neighborhood. Everybody knew each other, and if things like this was going on, there was chatter amongst us. And I don't know how the neighborhoods are now. I moved down to the country down here. It's been 30 years now, so But how is it up there amongst in the neighborhoods in the Northeast? I mean, is there still that tight knit community or if you live in those type of...
No, that's over and done with.
Wow.
That's over and done with. Now it's like I said, it's every man for himself now.
Oh, my Lord.
The collapse is going to mainly come about where it's really noticeable in about 15 counties in the United States with these big blue cities that are run by Democrats. That's where the collapse is going to be, and anarchy is going to be the worst. So it's not going to be like, everywhere in the United States is going to have this problem. It will be concentrated, and it will be severe in these areas. And it's getting worse every day.
The border is out of control right now. The border is totally out of control. Brownsville, Texas,
Chicago,
El Paso,
the city of New York, Detroit, Philadelphia, maybe Dallas. Places like that is where you're going to see it. This kind of collapse that we're referring to now. That's where
I'm also a trucker. All right, I started trucking last year, and I did my training out of El Paso. And let me tell you something. El Paso is a city, something like I have never seen before in my life.
Yeah, powder keg, right? Ready to explode, right?
It's worse in the daytime. It's like a bustling city, but at night it's just chaos.
Wow.
Everywhere.
Wow. Down there now. What's going on down there right now today?
I haven't been down there in months, but I could tell you down by I forget what city it was, but we were down by the border, by Eagle Pass, I think it is. That's where a lot of the crossings are going.
Yeah.
And they have the border patrol has checkpoints in the cities.
Yep.
And I remember one night we were waiting. I was being trained, so we were going to make a left turn. We were going to go towards the checkpoint because that's what we had to drive through. And all of a sudden, there was a knock on the passenger side of the door. So I rolled down the window, and there's a guy speaking to me in Spanish, which I hardly speak Spanish, but the guy with me speaks Spanish. And the guy asked us for a ride, and he told him, if you want a ride, just go right down the street there. Those guys will give you a ride wherever you want to go. And the guy goes, nah, and he just went into the darkness and disappeared.
Wow.
Oh, man. Hey, tell me something, officer. Have you got your Law Enforcement Officer Safety Act permit?
Yeah, I carry my 218, yeah.
Okay, I'm just wondering, you still got to be careful, though, because in some states, even with LEOSA, if you got hollow points, they'll bust you for them.
No, so far, nothing's happened.
Yeah, well, I ain't had no trouble either, but I'm just letting you know, though, in some states, and you know how capricious some of these prosecutors can be, especially these Democrat leftist prosecutors. If you run afoul of their particular state laws with regard to concealed carry, they can jack you up. I've seen it.
I totally understand where you're coming from.
Well, before I wrap up the show here, I'd like to give everybody the closing thoughts here. So you first from New York there. Just give me your thoughts. I appreciate the call here. I don't remember your voice ever calling in before. Maybe you have. But,
no, the first time. I usually call in. I usually call into a Proof Negative show. That's why.
Oh, okay. So you may have heard me call in there, maybe. I call in there as a guest. Yeah, but hey, I appreciate you listening. Usually I'm on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. It's called Restoring Our Republic, and we get patriots from around the country and police officers, veterans, and whatnot, and we talk like we're talking right now. I just did a special show tonight because of the border, and I just thought that it'd be good to talk about it. And but I do appreciate you calling in, and that's awesome. So I'll give you some last thoughts here. What's on your mind? And just if you give, I have 25,000 people that listen to this show, so talk to them, man.
Well, just respect. My thoughts on my mind. Prepare for what's coming. Sir. The worst is coming. It is coming. All right.
And you would know.
People, you know, they don't even know. The signals are there. Janet Yellen is saying, you know, there's going to be a financial hardship, but it could be catastrophic. You know, we have China. Who's, you know, listen. There's no doubt we're going to be going head to head with China, and like I always tell people, all right, I say this to people: never in the history of the world has the war been fought for a moral cause. Not even a civil war. It was always about money, and this is where it's going now because of the dollar.
That's right. You're absolutely correct. Money, you know, it's always about that money. The money changers, they control both sides of the war.
Always about that dollar, that almighty dollar.
Yeah. Sarge, final thoughts, and I'll play some Ronald Reagan here at the end, a little Ronald Reagan, voice of Ronald Reagan at the end. But Sarge, final thoughts, man?
Yeah, great. You know, thanks a lot. I really appreciate that New York officer calling in. Thanks a lot there, man. You helped to illustrate what the problem is, and we need more of that. But I just like to say that, you know, the whole time I worked in Chicago, the one thing, there was always spikes in crime. You always had going up and down. Sometimes it'd be really, really, really bad. Sometimes, you know, you have a little bit of chaos. But the one thing the Chicago Police Department was always confident of, that when they applied the resources and the energy to the problem, they could get it to subside and calm down, and general order would be result as a result of it. Nowadays,
Not anymore.
It is different now. They have got many officers are even despairing of the possibility of restoring normal anarchy when you see it spilling over into places that heretofore were almost untouched, like the Magnificent Mile in Chicago, which was always one of the crown jewels of free market shopping in Chicago. It's everywhere in Chicago now, and most of the cops I talk to now say they despair of ever getting it back under control under these present conditions. And that is something new, and that means without this thin blue line, anarchy, disorder, and chaos will ensue. But I guess that's the object, because then they can fundamentally transform the criminal justice system and turn it into something that it's not supposed to be. So I suppose that's really their object. Yeah.
Well, you know, just say thanks to both you guys and to New York City police officer. I've had a lot of police officers call in the years, but I think this is the first time for NYPD, so that's great. Awesome. I have so much respect for you guys. I interacted with a lot of you guys. I'm from the Northeast, like I said. I used to go to New York City a lot and visit over there. I mean, it was only a 30-minute drive, so. Yeah, NYPD, those tough guys, man, tough police officers, great guys. Give them the respect. They give you respect, you know, but, you know, you disrespect them. Don't mess with those guys, I'll tell you that right now.
About the old days, baby. Yeah, but we need, like this officer, look, you and all your friends, you know, just tell them as much as you can. We got to enlighten people as to what's really going on. We got to tell them the truth as best we understand it, because a lot of people have a completely distorted picture of what is actually going on. They really do have a distorted picture. They're being lied to.
Yeah. Yep.
They don't care.
Right. Yeah, they don't. You're right. They don't. But the ones who do care, they are worth it, though. Well, again, like I said, we're on Tuesday, 7 p.m. East, and anybody is always welcome to listen to the archive. We've got a lot of people that do listen in New York, though. A lot of people that listen to me in the morning. They download the show and listen. I want to say hello to those guys. And they're truckers, too, actually. So I love you guys, you truckers out there. You're the backbone of America, too. So be safe out there, especially driving through these cities. Dangerous, very dangerous. So be very, very careful. Play a little Ronald Reagan here at the end, guys. Yep, go ahead.
God bless Ronald Reagan. Like I tell people, be ready because it's coming. And it is coming.
That's right.
We're here.
Amen. Good night, guys. God bless the Republic.
Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war. But there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second. Surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? When Nikita Khrushchev has told his people he knows what our answer will be. He has told them that we're retreating under the pressure of the Cold War, and someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. He believes this because from our side he's heard voices pleading for peace at any price, or better rev than death, or as one commentator put it, he'd rather live on his knees than die on his feet. And therein lies the road to war, because those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools. And our honored dead, who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis, didn't die in vain. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay, there is a point beyond which they must not advance. Winston Churchill said the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn we're spirits, not animals. He said there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.